This is a magazine type of video that I'm producing because I'm going to show you bits and pieces of everything. And of course, we've got here our great friend Kevin, and he's working on one of my old Beuvronensis pines. And I was also working on one that I had started years ago. I'll show you this, I'll revert to this. But while he's doing this, I'm going to just show you various bits and pieces that we're doing on the nursery. On our nursery here at Herons, we have hundreds, literally hundreds of Beuvronensis. The first time I came across Beuvronensis was in the mid-70s when there were just one or two small Beuvronensis being made. And of course I then started scouring all the nurseries, both in the UK and in Europe, for Beuvronensis material. There used to be a Dutch grower who lived in this country called Van Klaveren. I can tell you his name because he doesn't exist anymore. He used to have a nursery in Wiltshire, and he used to grow a lot of Beuvronensis in the open ground. In the early 80s, maybe even late 70s, when I lived in Purley, I used to go to all nurseries that grew conifers in the ground. And in the Woking area, there was still a lot of nurseries which grew plants in the ground. And I used to literally scour the whole country. But this guy Van Klaveren had quite a few. So some of these may have come from him. But the biggest haul of Beuvronensis I discovered was when I went to Holland in, I think it was either 1980 or thereabouts, when I was still working in my 9-to-5 job, and I was living in Purley. And I went by ferry to Holland, and we went to Boskoop, and there was a nursery which grew a lot of Beuvronensis. And I purchased 50 Beuvronensis, 50 Beuvronensis. They were only about 60 centimeter tall, and trunks were no bigger than 1 or 2 inch. And those were the trees I kept in Purley, and for the first 5 years they were in pots in Purley. And when I came to the nursery in 85, 86, I planted them in the field, and they've been growing in the field, and then we used to dig them up. Every time we dig them up, out of the 50, we used to lose 1 or 2 because we took too much root off. So we had some casualties. But on and off, they've been growing in the field. So I'm now going to take you to the field to show you exactly what those trees look like now. So we'll go there.
Wow. What is that shiny thing in the sky?
So we have several examples of Scots pines. The Beuvronensis is what we call a dwarf Scots pine. The botanical name is Pinus sylvestris Beuvronensis. And I was told that Beuvronensis was a sport meaning from a normal species tree, you get an odd branch that grows funny.
Yeah.
And they use that to graft and create a new species.
Yeah.
So Beuvronensis was a sport, possibly in Europe or somewhere, hence the name. I don't know the origin of Beuvronensis. It sounds very French to me.
Yeah.
Beuvronensis. So anyway, these are different types of Scots. This one almost looks like a mugo because it's got this waxy covering on the candles, the dormant candles. Now this is more of a normal type of Scots.
Well, this one, yeah, is a particular type of Scots, yeah. This is Pinus scotica, yeah.
From Scotland.
Yeah, no, yeah, but what it is a Caledonian pine, yeah.
Oh.
So it's different from this one, yeah. This has probably been grown commercially.
And that one I can tell you is a New Forest pine.
Yeah.
I collected it with a guy called Chris Herniman, who's now moved to France.
Yeah.
And Steve, who works for me, we collected it in 1989.
Wow.
I know the exact date. I still have the picture when we collected it. It was a huge tree, but not as big as this. It's grown about 30% more.
Yeah.
And all this top over the years, we've been curling it. So this top is artificial.
Yeah,
It wasn't found like this. It's just created by wire.
That was completely straight, was it? Yeah.
It was completely straight.
That's incredible. If you do a close-up of that, Chris.
So several people have worked on it. I created the basic shape there with wire, and then over the years, I think Marco worked on it once, and now you've been working on it. But the basic shape is like that, and I've always liked it leaning like this.
Yeah.
Leaning like this.
Well, also it's got the very powerful Nibari, yeah, which
Yes, that's right.
stabilizes it. Yeah?
It's always been in a pot like this, hence the Nibari there.
Yeah.
That comes from growing in a pot. You can see how the pot has confined the roots there, and it used to be in a drum pot, but because the tree got top heavy or lopsided, you have to put it in a long pot like this. So much for talking about the ordinary Scots pine. We are now going to the field to show you our Beuvronensis pines. So I'm going to show you, we are here in the field, and all those pines there are Beuvronensis that have been growing since 1980. A full 45 years they've been growing. These pines, by the way, I planted in 1986. They're already Scots pines, and they've become so big. They're about 100 feet tall. Can't be used for like all these are Beuvronensis trees. Some of them have got long leaves, but for the most part, they've got very short leaves. If we look around, and if we come to the front, perhaps we'll show you some more. So this is a Beuvronensis. See the size of it. 45 years of growing. So the trees must have been at least 10 or 15 years old. So I reckon these trees, the genuine age is about 65 years old. So I've been growing it 45 years. And when we bought them, they must have been 10 to 15 years. So this is a Beuvronensis. See the size of the trunk there. And this has been growing in the pot for the last 10 years, but it was grown in the ground. When I came here in 86 to about 96, it was in the ground for 10 years. So that's another one. This one has been sold. We actually sell these trees. They are not going to be used for bonsai. They are going to be contemporary or modern garden trees. So look at the character of the trunk. Look at that one. That's another one. So you see the quality of the trunk. Let's form it on these trees. Look at the trunk of that. Look at it. And this, I think we can do something with it as a big bonsai using some of these branches. It's possible. It's a challenge, don't you think?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We should be able to do something.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely, I like the way you say it. All right, let's show you a few more because they've got beautiful trunks. And this sort of trunk only comes with age. I don't know whether you can creep in there, Chrissy. That's what I want to show you. Again, look at the character of the trunk there. There are possible gins. If you let your imagination run wild, I'm sure we can find a bonsai out of this. The trouble is when you grow trees in the ground, you're always saying, can I wait a little longer? You know, I wait a little longer, it'll become better. But there comes a time when you can't wait forever. So
No.
this is the stage. We've got to deal with some of them. But meanwhile,
Look at the base on this one, yeah, further down, yeah.
yeah, look at that. So we don't have to collect these. We are grown on the nursery. But you've got to wait 45 years. Anyway, so let's look at some other ones that I have made into bonsai. So excuse the wind. The wind has blown quite a lot of these down. But look, all of them have got marvelous trees. Now this is a tree. I'll tell you more about it. This was one of the trees that got stolen. We had a robbery in 1993. We had 2 pines stolen. I've got both of those back because they were stolen for 18 months and we discovered it, or a local landscaper discovered it in someone's garden. So we got them back. So this is one of the stolen pines. But when it was stolen, it was that high. It's grown that much now. It's now, what, almost 5 foot tall. I don't know what it is in meters. We did some carving at some stage here. So I would like to keep it this style, but we probably need to rewire. What do you think?
Yeah, if you're going to turn it into a garden tree, yeah, it will have to be, the whole thing will have to be kept, yeah. But we got some ideas, but we've had a disagreement, yeah. Because
don't make it too small. Make it a big bonsai.
Yeah,
big bonsai
yeah, for a garden tree.
See, that's the original pot. Can you see? That is the pot.
But my idea, yeah, is to use that as the it terrifies Peter, yeah. To use that as the apex and that as the principal branch, yeah, and make this into a massive, beautiful tenjin.
Oh God, no!
Oh God, no!
Oh, no! No, just wire the pads. Refine the pads. No, I think you can use some of that material.
No, I'll do that with other material. Yeah.
So
I just like winding you up, Peter.
So
yeah.
all these are Beuvronensis that you see here. And there's more. I can't take you there because I haven't got my wellies on. But that entire field is Beuvronensis. all Beuvronensis, and they've got these beautiful tight needles, so different from the ordinary Scots pines.
But there's another variety, Peter, isn't there? Watering eye, yeah?
Water eye, it's more upright.
More
Water eye
upright.
is
Oh, is it more fastigate, yeah?
Yeah, fastigiate.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, water eye. Water eye and Beuvronensis. I think named after the famous Waters Nursery in Twyford. So when I lived in Henley, I used to go to Waters Nursery and they had a lot of water eye there. So these are the feline. We're going to go back to another Beuvronensis that again I trained in 1980, but Kevin is doing a radical restyle of this. Would you call it radical?
Yes.
All right, so we'll move there and show you that. So this Beuvronensis, I've just let it grow because we created a lot of structure, but as with most Beuvronensis, they have the habit of producing these very small needles and very fine ramification. So unlike the Scots pine, the ramification is quite intense.
Yes.
So much so that you have to really deal with it. So if you look and see what, this is what we have pruned off. Then you have a look. Look at the floor. Look at all this coming out. All this was taken out of these areas. So you see even here it's very close, but you haven't gone too mad, isn't it? So every little twig, every little branch has been rewired. So all these curly branches was our work in the past, and the crown is just a tangle of branches like a nest. So you're going to sort that out. So your aim here is to create layers, is it?
It's going to be very structured, yeah, because the thing is, it's like the Zuzo pine in
Zuisho. Yeah.
In Japan, yeah, you know what I mean? This is our
Okay.
equivalent, yeah. So what you can do is, if you can see already, yeah, the pads you can make are very refined.
Yes.
So it's going to turn out a very beautiful image and in scale, yeah.
Okay.
This is the.
But then you've got such a lot of wiring, it's going to cause a problem. You've got to be very meticulous in removing the wire at some stage.
Yes, and you have to
because
work.
they do bite.
And you've got to watch with the watering, and you don't water too much.
Why?
You know, because that will swell it up and make it cut
Oh, I
quicker,
see.
yeah. But you know, doing it this time of year, it's got a few months, yeah, to
Okay.
set up, yeah. So, you know, and the other thing, what I would do is keep an eye on it, and if anything looks like it's cutting in, just release that area.
Oh.
Don't cut all the wire off of everything.
Now, again, if I remember right, I don't think I even cut any leading shoot. These are just the initial leader which I've taken up. So there's no chopping here. If you look closely, I don't think there's any chopping.
No, there's
there.
not, no.
So they're all twigs which have grown from the original plant. There were some low branches which have died because lack of light, but they will become gins. And see, from one position you can get several layers or several pads.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, with the ordinary Scots pine, you'll only get so many clouds.
Yeah.
But with the Beuvronensis, you can multiply the clouds here endlessly.
Different
yeah,
layers,
you know.
layer upon
Different
layer.
layers all the way through,
Okay.
yeah, which makes them completely different, yeah, you know,
Okay.
to the ordinary Scots.
All right, so
you know.
hopefully we will, you should be finished by tomorrow?
I'll be finished today.
Okay, all right, so we'll show it again. Okay, thanks.
Okay, no problem.
Great. Talking about Beuvronensis, I forgot to mention this one. This is a large Beuvronensis, the same age as all the others, believe it or not. But this could have become 40, 50 feet had I not pruned it. I planted it in the ground when I made the pond in 1990. And over the last 34 or 35 years, I have kept it this high by constantly pruning. And I will have mentioned this tree in some of my other videos. All these twisty bends and all have all come from cut and grow. If I don't want a branch to go in a certain way, I cut it off, and if I want it to go in another way, I cut it off. So this multi-trunk structure has been created by pruning. So this is how versatile the Beuvronensis is. If you come close again, I can show you some points about Beuvronensis. So the needles, as you can see, are so fine. This comes from constantly pruning. But you can also get the odd rogue shoot. If you don't prune it hard enough, you get these long needles. So you can get short needles and long needles. So you got to prune these back and let it bud back. And when it buds back, you get the finer needles. So you can see where it is rampant, it gets these long needles. But if you prune it properly, you get the small needles. So with everything, you're learning all the time. So this is a lovely example of a Japanese garden tree, for want of a better term. You can get the Japanese name actually like those ones in the background there. Those are made from Scots pines. That was also planted in 1993, but they were about 1/3 the height. They were like 3 foot high, 1 meter tall. They're now like 10 or 12 foot high. And this one is about 8 foot high. So I hope this gives you some understanding or feeling about Beuvronensis pines. So I'm very proud of showing this one. So another example for you. So this is a complicated tree. I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of twigs. Every twig, every branch has been wired and rewired. So Kevin, you literally believe in wiring every twig, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's like sharpening a pencil. Yeah, you know, you sharpen your pencil to do a fine art drawing. If every branch isn't wired, you can't get that fine art finish. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Which is what we're after. Yeah, you know. You know,
and we were talking the other day about using copper wire and aluminium wire. Some people are very fastidious. They say you can only use copper wire. All the professionals use copper wire.
It's ridiculous, yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, right, yeah, in Japan, yeah, they have this philosophy called wabi-sabi, yeah, and it's part of the teaching, yeah, is to make things really, really complicated. Everything they do is complicated.
That's not what wabi-sabi is.
No, but wabi-sabi is imperfect perfection, yeah, but in the teaching, yeah, there's wabi-sabi in the teaching. Anyway, it's a bit too deep, all of that. What I'm going to say, right, yeah, is with copper wire, yeah, when you bend it, when you're first doing the first styling, and you make a bend like this, yeah, you know, that copper wire will lignify, yeah, when you do the first bend.
Yeah.
And it's stiff, yeah, and then you can't move it again, yeah. So you have to, you know, it's a lot freer form, yeah, if you have aluminium on. And my style is a freer form.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I think some of the Japanese guys...
There's a lot of people poo-poo us, you know, because I don't like copper.
I don't like it.
I don't like copper. So they say, oh, if you don't use copper, you're not a professional.
I'm going to hell for that, you know? But the thing is, yeah, I mean, it's just, like I say, it's just a freer form.
Okay.
You know, you can change your mind.
So for those of you who have this obsession about copper and aluminium, listen to what we say, isn't it? There's no right and a wrong way, as we say. That different people have different preferences. You see how beautiful the pads are on this. You know, I'm just showing people while we are working. This has been a really complicated tree, and Chrissy here helping wire. And,
you can see that also with the Beuvronensis, what we're talking about, is you get a much more scaled form. Yeah, you know what I mean, with the Beuvronensis. Yeah.
Also, for the people who are not very familiar with pines, I noticed that you always wire to the ends, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the tufts of the needles at the ends. We try not to have too many along the branches. Does that apply to all conifers? Like
I mean, because
even junipers.
Yeah, what happens if you think this whole tree, right? Yeah, is a vast solar pump, basically. Yeah, you know. So if you bring all of the clouds here out with the foliage on the end, the tips, then that's working the most efficiently. Yeah. To feed this tree sugars, you know. So, you know, all of these ones are on the end, yeah, they're all feeding.
You mean to say if you have some in the middle there, it won't go to the ends?
Well, I mean, you know, we will fill up this area, but not in here, you know.
But don't you want these areas to fill out eventually?
They will fill out. You know, just by bud selection, in the autumn, this will fill out in here, you know, eventually, But what you want is all of these clouds. They're effectively solar panels, and they're feeding sugars to the tree, you know. So they all need to be in their own light, you know what I mean, all the way over the tree.
And because the branches are long, you can have different layers and different tiers from the same branch.
You know, you can take one branch and make, you know, 4 clouds out of one branch if it's got enough, you know, side shoots off of it, you know. And start to make something really interesting.
So I notice you're changing the front of this tree, so we'll look forward to seeing it potted at this angle, because it's a right angle to what the original front was. Yeah,
we're putting more of a dance in it, Pete.
More movement on the trunk.
So
but you're not too worried. There's like the graft at that junction. There's like an inverse taper.
I mean, I think also by leaning this way, you know, you're actually getting rid of some of the reverse taper. You know, I mean, just because of the, you know, it's showing more movement. More, you know, sinuous movement. This side. So you're going to take your eye away from that reverse taper, yeah, you know. And also there's a lot of Nabari in here that could be cleaned.
Okay. All right.
And it will look a lot nicer, a lot more mature, you know.
Okay, thanks for that. So I have Kevin here, and this is a tree that he worked on. This is a Beuvronensis I told you about. Years ago I made it, maybe about 30 years ago I started it, maybe even 40 years ago. And it became very, very dense. So we took out, how much do you think we took out? About 20%, 30%?
I think we took a third out.
Third out?
Yeah.
Can you imagine how congested the branches were? So we took out those branches to create more space and tiers between the branches. So you can see where the cuts were made, and that's how we've created the tier. I must say this is the sort of thing even I can't do. You know, Kevin is the expert. And you haven't bothered too much to do layering on the crown, Kevin?
Not so much, yeah. I think
you don't need it.
No, I think the tree looks more mature, yeah. You know,
Okay,
if you
with
don't
the full
tear,
crown.
if you tear it too much right to
Okay.
the top, it looks more artificial, yeah.
So
you
it's
know?
the lower branches that you're more
It's the lower branches I tear, yeah. You know what I
Okay.
mean, and then make a full, dense, rounded top.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot more natural that way, yeah.
Do you find that Beuvronensis branches are more brittle than the ordinary Scots pine? Because it is a Scots pine, but I find that you can break the branches if you're not careful.
You can actually. You do have to be careful, yeah. You know what I mean? You know, what I tend to do with Beuvronensis, with an ordinary Scots, I'll bend it, you know, just once, like this, yeah. With Beuvronensis, I'll go along and bend it all along the whole length of the branch, yeah, you know. So the bend's over a longer period, yeah, you know. But yeah, the thing with Beuvronensis is it comes out to scale, yeah. That's why they're so beautiful, yeah. You know?
Yeah, the needle's so small, isn't
Yeah.
it? Minuscule.
You know, it's much more to scale, yeah, you know. And they're
Yeah,
beautiful.
I'm
yeah.
just turning around. This is an ordinary Scots pine. You see, the ordinary Scots, the needles are not the same as with Beuvronensis. Of course, this one has been trained for 30 or 40 years. Hence, the needle length has reduced. It's become really minuscule. I've known some Beuvronensis that I've had. The needles become so small, they're almost like picea, spruce needles.
Yeah. I mean, you think about the stock that you know, we were talking earlier on about the stock that you bought all those years ago, and how many trees are out there in the bonsai world in England.
I see.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know? I mean,
Started probably here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's
Especially when I came here, because I brought trees with me from Purley.
yeah.
And some of them had just had 1 or 2 years training. They were bought. I never saw them again. But I'm sure they would have resurrected themselves somewhere else. So I noticed that we've now used the right angle side. You've turned the front 90 degrees,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah.
And you've turned it because there's more movement in the trunk there.
There's more movement in the trunk.
Just
yeah,
turn
you know?
the thing around. Let's have a look
Yeah.
at the
This was the original front, yeah.
on the other side.
Yeah.
This side or the other side.
I think it was that side, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so the front was in
Yeah.
there,
The front was here.
and you can see, yeah, there's it's quite static, yeah.
Okay, so
from there,
yes,
you
I
know?
can see what
You
you
know?
mean. The trunk was very straight there.
But I know exactly why it was chosen. It was because of this reverse taper, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
that's right. And the roots were better this side.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
You see, we took the leader up this way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that branch, which we took up, was the leader. So it's leaning in the right way. So that is why I chose that as the front. Okay, now let's turn it around. So if you turn it around, the analysis, you can see that little bulge there gives it a movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweeping to the left.
So
So I see why you've chosen
So
it.
what we've done, we've had to compromise
Yes.
on movement, yeah, to Nabari, yeah.
Okay.
You know, that's the thing, yeah, you know. So I'd rather see the reverse taper, yeah, and more movement in the trunk, yeah.
So
you
when
know.
we come to repotting it, we can mount the soil up a little more to
We
hide
could
it
do
or
that,
not?
yeah. I mean, you know, generally what I do with something like that was I will put Kato in there, yeah.
Okay.
Up onto that point, yeah. And moss will grow there and you won't even know, yeah. But also there's some nice roots here.
Of course,
And
to
you
tell
know.
people why that is, Beuvronensis are grafted trees.
Right.
They are seldom sown from seed, so they are grafted, and that is the graft
That's the
union.
graft union,
Yes,
right?
that is the graft there. Quite a low graft.
Wow.
So virtually all Beuvronensis are grafted. I'm now walking over to this tree. This is another large Beuvronensis. You see, this one is about 4 foot 6 tall. Again, you see that base. Kevin, you see
Oh, yeah.
that? You see? Can you
Yeah.
see?
Do you know what? I did not know that.
Yeah, you see, that is the graft there. That is why it isn't flared at the bottom.
Right, right.
So there's something you need to be aware of. So that's the disadvantage of these grafted trees. Grafted there, hence that.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But some of the ones we got in the field, they're different.
They're different, aren't
They're
they?
different.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, they're quite different.
They come straight out of the ground and they're on their own stock, huh?
No, they're not on their own.
They're being
No, they're
grafted as well?
grafted. Yeah, but the grafts are good.
The grass are good, yeah.
Okay. So let's come back to this and have a look at it. Admire it again. So here we are. Thank you very much. It's a lovely tree. So again, the repotting, you advise us to do it in March, not earlier than that.
Well, April, yeah.
As late as that?
Yeah. I call it the Magnus Magnuson principle, yeah? I've started, so I'll finish, yeah?
Okay.
So, that's
All right.
you know, if you start to get movement on here, right, it means the roots are moving as well, and it's a good time to do it. I've never had any problems here in April, yeah? If you do it too early, they lay in the wet, they don't move, and they suffer slightly, yeah, you know, so.
What if they're kept in the greenhouse? Because I've always done them from mid-February, early March onwards.
Well, like you say, Peter, there's no one way of doing
you can try.
something,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Maybe
yeah?
because I have protection here.
Yeah, you know, but the later the better, I think, yeah, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for
Great.
me, yeah.
So that's a marker for the front in case people who are new to bonsai, we always mark the front so that we know where we stand or where we're going. So I hope people have enjoyed our little discussion about Beuvronensis.